And that was just so beautiful off of the movie Empire. Here on iBrand Daybreak, thank you so much for staying with us. It is still Star Corner, and we have another star in our midst. He is David Forcha. He's a music producer and so many other things that he's going to tell us about himself. It's not in my place to say what he is. He will tell us. He is also known as Jubal when he is in the field doing his thing. Hi, Jubal. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the studio.
Thank you
so
much
tell
for
us,
having
who is David Forcha and what do you do?
Well, basically, I am quite a lot of things, but everything revolves around entertainment and music. Basically, I'm a music producer. I'm also a sound engineer, and I mix and master, and I also play the instrument, and I train and teach both the media and music. So those are the
So
few
it's safe
things
to
I
say
do.
you are music.
Well, by the name Jubal, you could say that.
Right. Do you sing as well?
No, I don't sing.
Oh.
I don't sing.
Okay. Okay, that works as well. So what's your work like, you know, the regular basic day for David? What is it like?
So it's dependent on what my commitment is per time. If it is to the studio, I probably will sleep there for days and to get work done. If it's probably on the field, depending on the job, I'll have to be, you know, on set before anybody. In fact, depending on the scale of the set, I could be there for a day or two, you know, before for setup, so sound check, you know, and all of that. So it's dependent on the kind where I'm fitting in at that moment. If I'm stage managing, I have to have, you know, certain conversations with the client before the event. They see the venues before the event day to understand the scope and, you know what I'm going to be doing. So
let's narrow this conversation down to sound production. Sound production is, you know, on the arm of entertainment and music business that has grown and, you know, gained popularity over time because people start to understand the importance of sound at your event, churches or wherever that, you know, there's going to be speakers and microphones. You need somebody who has ears for sound. What does it take to be a sound engineer?
First of all, there are quite a number of things, but then you need, first of all, need to have good ears, and you need to, because the truth about the thing is, sound engineering is broad. It's broad. There are different aspects to it. There is the stage tech, there is the systems tech, you know, and all of those areas before you even get to the mixing board. In
So
fact,
my ear is not good. Is that what you're saying?
No.
As I not be sound engineer.
No. That's
Don't
why I
mind
said
me.
it is broad, you know.
Yeah.
Because the last place to be actually is behind the desk mixing. That's one of the easiest places to function, you know, because anybody with good ears and good musical understanding can be behind the board, who understands the workflow. But then there are other areas, like I mentioned, there's systems tech. Before someone speaks to the microphone or before you play an instrument, there's a channel is coming in through. There are certain calculations that need to be done. You know, the systems tech person has to come and tune the PA to the room or to the environment, you know, has to do time aligning. So there is a whole lot involved with sound engineering. There are many aspects. So someone could say he's a sound engineer, but doesn't know how to operate the mixing console. But he's still right, because it's part of the job.
I want to take you for your word. You said we have so much as a sound engineer, right?
Yes.
Now, how are you able to work and connect these extremes? Because you said you produce music, right?
Yes, sir.
You're also a sound engineer. You also teach and train. How are you able to do all of these? Or how long did it take you to get all of this knowledge?
The length of time is probably over 2 decades now.
Oh, wow.
2 decades?
Yeah, I actually started with playing the drums at the age of 2 because I come from a musician father.
Okay.
So
You've just said it all, because I wanted to know where this interest is coming from, because I know some persons might just want to concentrate on just the sound and leave the other aspect.
Exactly.
You know, but you want to be everywhere, like jack of all trade. So how are you
so
able to?
yeah, tell us about that. Continue.
Yeah, so you know, I started with drums, and at the age of I think 6, I was already playing as an official drummer in the church till I was like 9. Then when we left that environment, I moved to the piano, and from piano, I think about 1996, 97, I started music production. You know, we used to do with reel-to-reels and cassettes back then. You know, and from there we moved into the digital space gradually. You know, and I also had this keen interest for synthesis, something called synthesis. You know, you create a sound. Take for example, I could just snap, and then I have to create a tone out of it. By the time you layer it on the keyboard, you're able to play it actually. So I did all of that, and you know, it was somewhere around 2010. You know, I was producing with one DAW they call Reason, you know, from a product manufacturer called Propeller Heads. And you know, the way they built their algorithm is that the interface, if you press tab, it's going to flip to the back of the instruments, and you get to see all the wires. You know, so I looked at it, and then I started seeing myself doing all of that. And then because I did synthesis, I would plug this here, take this there, take this here, take this. And then I started getting things done. So in fact, a lot of guys come to my studio, when they open the software, they don't understand what is happening because it's completely blank. I usually create blank sessions, and then I start from scratch because I want to connect everything myself. You know, so from there, I met a few mentors, did some trainings with some mentors, you know, in different areas. And of course, as a musician, it has helped me because mixing then becomes a normal thing for me based on the training I've had over time, playing music. So that is what has brought me here over time.
That's interesting.
Okay. So let's take it to the teaching end. What is it like being a teacher? Teaching. I don't say teaching music, because you know, when people say teaching music, what comes to mind is writing music and all the alphas and the do re mis and all that. So I want you to give us, you know, a practical view of what is like teaching what you do to younger persons.
Okay, so teaching basically it's something that has always been a part of me, you know, because, you know, I've been in classes where I've asked questions and the lecturers had to pursue me because I've asked beyond the scope of the class. And they are like, who be this one? We just, how you take no, this kind of thing, you know?
Exactly.
And, you know, that's the ideology, you know, a lot of times. And I had to start structuring myself in that direction, you know. And funny enough, a lot of guys come to me. In fact, a lot of guys went to school, you know, abroad, did music here and there, friends, close friends, you know, and they saw the things I was doing back in Nigeria, and they were like, wow. They had to come back with all their 2-3 certifications, and then they still needed help with certain things that they have certifications for. So I had to sit down and school them, and then so from there, you know, I started doing it as something that I wanted to do actually. And of course, that gave birth to my music and media teaching company, you know, training company. So it has been something I've been doing for quite a while now, and it has.
So how rewarding has it been? I know it's something you have passion for, but has it really, you know, given you the opportunity to break even?
Okay, so when we say breaking even and rewarding, you know, those are relative. Let me put it relative, because for me, it's just about everybody understanding what their purpose is and what they are meant to be doing. You know, over time, I realized just being on the spotlight wasn't something for me necessarily. But then the people I train have been there, you know. they have gone out and they are doing bigger things, and that gives me a better satisfaction. Okay. So it's better to just be on the background and do, and that alone for me gives me, gives me joy. I mean, so.
All right, so in putting you out there, are there any collaborations you are actually looking at in making your brand become well pronounced or well known amongst your competitors, so to speak, in your field?
Yeah, so there are projects that are ongoing right now. They are still in the planning phase, and we are hoping to get better at it and do better things. Meanwhile, we still have a few collaborations ongoing, with some other companies and all. Of course, they are senior partners, and they are elders in the industry that that are looking at us and trying to support and see how we grow also. Because the truth about this thing is, everybody has a geolocation, right? So if you are in Ikeja and I am in Surulere, and we both do the same thing, we are definitely there for different reasons, with different aims and different motives, and we are also there to also service different kind of clients and kind of people. So we have some things that are ongoing right now, and we're hoping to release them soon.
All right, before I throw you back to my colleague, I would like to ask you, what really makes you unique? Because we have a lot of people who are also doing what you're doing, but what stands you out from them?
There is something I have always told a lot of my colleagues, and it is the fact that without being a musician, your understanding of musicianship is limited when you are a sound engineer. Now, this is what I mean. I've had cases where in different places where I've worked, musicians tend to understand me more than any other engineer who speaks with them, because I have been on that side of life. I have played. I have been frustrated by engineers. So coming to this side, I now understand what it's like in both worlds. So I have been able to create a balance for myself, and that gives me the uniqueness that, in fact, some bands have had engineers want to travel with them, and they scrap them. They bought tickets, but they scrap them. They call me, buy tickets for me, and I'm not aware. All I need to do is just put on a clothes, carry a shirt or backpack, and then be on the plane with them on the road. So because we have this, I make sure I build a certain kind of relationship, because musicianship is a different ball game from engineering, but they are all doing almost the same thing. But then we are here to complement each other. My job is to make you look good on stage or sound good on stage, irrespective of how bad you are. Do you understand? So I've been able to balance that out, and I feel that it has worked for me, basically. It has worked for me over time.
Is that what you mean by when you say that you try to close the gap between the artist and the music foundations? I saw that in your background. And how do you pass that over to your students?
Okay, so the way I teach is, first of all, I teach from a real life point of view, right? I am this kind of person who, if you come to my academy now, maybe you have a 9 to 5. I use your 9 to 5 to teach you what engineering is. I use a real life experience to translate it to you, so you understand why certain things happen to you in certain places, or understand, because that's the truth. I mean, I was consulting for a church one time, and okay, they actually called me, to consult for their sound system. So when I got into the church, I mentioned a few problems the man had, and the pastor was like, whoa. And in fact, the one that caught him was, I told him, your members will be sleeping. And he was like, how you take no? I said, people on this side will be sleeping. People on this side will be sleeping. People on this side will not be sleeping. And he was like, wow. I said, yes. So by the time I analyzed the situation, I explained certain things to him, and he was like, oh, okay. And so that's how I basically teach. I don't come and tell you 1 + 1 = 2, or you calculate 5 watts per head. for sure, and then you're gone. No, I use your real life experiences to teach you. Sometimes I ask, okay, what route did you pass through? Did you hear anything musical? Did you see? Because music is all around us. The sound of this AC is music to me. The flickering of the light is music. It has a time signature to it. You know, so I use all of these things to translate music, and I believe that's one of the things that make me different and unique in the industry.
Okay, quite an interesting and
That's
very,
huge.
very, very, enlightening conversation. You know, who would have thought that there is these branches to sound production? If you say here is sound person, you basically would just first of all think of somebody that'll come and join jacks and heads together and turn on the mixer and music starts playing and all that. But thank you so much for breaking it down. But before we let you go, because we're pressed for time, before we let you go, what is your word to people out there who want to get into the kind of field that you are in? What does it entail for them?
You see, as I breathe, have you?
Because it's huge.
First of all, sound alone is huge. It's broad. It's deeper than this 5 or 10 minutes conversation.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. People are doing 10 years courses. People are done with 5, 6 years courses, and they are going to do other ones that are going to complement the previous ones. You know, it's very broad. And what I would say is, you need to pay good attention to it. You must be really, really sure that this is what you want to do, because trust me, in this part of the world, we are highly undervalued. We are the first. In fact, we know the venue. We are the first to know the venue after event planner.
True.
So sometimes, depending on the scope of the setup, we are there 2-3 days before. And sometimes you go days without eating or without even having a bath, depending on your arrangement. You know, so these are some of the things that we have to go through. And time. Sound is not something you just dive into and expect in 3 years to start getting big gigs. It doesn't work. Everything takes course. It takes a course. It takes time to get there. And of course, it's hard work. It's hard work, trust me. It's going to be harder if you do not have a musical foundation. It's going to be more difficult to get into sound production if you don't have a music foundation, you know, or music background. So, of course, when you come into it, just put your all into it. Don't expect good pay from day one. Nah.
You needed to put that out there.
I need to put it there. Don't expect good pay from day one. It's the truth.
So is it always that? Is it always like that, or you're just making it so clear that money shouldn't be your focus?
Well, money shouldn't be your focus from the onset, but then
eventually
it will still pay off.
Okay.
So be kind.
For some of us, it hasn't. For some of us, it's as if it hasn't paid off.
David, are you being honest
But
right
then,
now?
I'm being honest.
Look at the fabric you used to sew your senator. It doesn't come easy.
Let's carry those who are watching.
Of course, this is an embodiment of a whole lot of stuff, you know. So, you know, that's.
I can understand.
That's.
All right. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this
welcome.
morning. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
You've heard it from the professional himself. If you want to get into this business, something you need to give your time. Just like every other life affair, life event, you need to give it your time.